Hello, crafty friends. How's everybody doing tonight? So we're going to do a two-part series tonight. And our first part is going to be with these images I have right here. So this one, hi Laura, this one's called Ghost Hunters. This is the gentleman from the Ghostbusters. And this one is called Stay Puffed. And this one has their place and Slimer and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Hi Judy. So I really want to color a bunch of these images, so this is going to have to be two parts. Tonight we'll do some coloring, and then anything we don't finish tonight we'll do on Thursday along with making the card. So I have some great ideas on that. I'm super excited, and I can't wait. So because we have quite a bit of coloring, I went ahead and made a little bit of a jump start before we went live, and these gentlemen are all, hi Christina, hi Cheryl, these four guys right here are all going to be in the same outfit. So I felt like repeating the outfit over and over again for you guys was not really necessary. So I left one uncolored and I colored the other three, and they are, ta-da, right here. So I felt like each one of their skin and hair were somewhat different. So I wanted to do them all live with you guys. And then I also have the Stay Puft guy stamped and the Slimer because they're just too fun not to color. So let's go ahead and put these aside. These are from the Sassy Club. And then we'll get started with these guys. So this is Peter Venkman, or gonna be when I get done coloring them. And this one over here will be Raymond Stantz. And then this one is Egon Spangler. And this one is Winston Zeddemore. So these three will all be lighter colored skin, and this guy will be African American. So we got some coloring to do, and we got some different skin tones to play around with, and all kinds of cool stuff. So stick around, it's going to be super fun. There we go. So I don't usually do skin after I do clothes, but I wanted to get a jump start so we weren't repeating our process over and over tonight. So we're going to go ahead and do skin and hair and eyes, and then we will finish his outfit like the rest of these. So you will get to see how I came up with these colors, or what the colors are, and then we'll go from there. So for the skin tone of the three Caucasian guys, I have decided to go with E000, E13, E11, E01, and E00. Now I know the E01 is a little bit different than we normally do. I normally do like an E21 or 51, but I decided to play around with E01 tonight. So that is what we're going to do. I mean, it's exciting just to stir it up a bit. And I thought that these were great images to work with you guys on because the eyes are just completely blank. So, and the hair is plain except for him. So I'm going to show you how to fancy them up so that they are four separately different looking characters. So here we go. This is E000, and we're going to start by wetting the paper. I hope everyone is having a great day and a good start to their week. It's been good. I've been super busy, but other than that, it's been really great. I'm glad you guys decided to join me. I think there's a few more people here that maybe haven't said hi yet. So welcome, welcome, even if you haven't said hi. We're super glad to have you here. It looks like I got a little bit of the Memento ink when I stamped on his chin. So he's going to look like he's been working really hard. Oh, I think I scared away our extra people here. Okay. So this video will stay in the group for up to 30 days and then Facebook deletes the videos. So after that, it will be on YouTube and you can watch the replay, and I will have the color combinations in the description on YouTube. So you'll be able to pick any of that information up there. E13 is going to be our shadow color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that pretty much around his hairline. Up here at the top. Oh, I didn't even do his hands. I should have done his hands while we were doing his face, but we'll catch up with that here in just a minute. So he looks like he has a little bit of a receding hairline going on here, this cute little guy. And then we're going to work on inside the ears. Oh, I missed the other ear. What is wrong with me? There we go. And while we have this E000 out, we'll do the hands as well. There we go. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put gloves on them or not, so I decided not. We're going to do them skin tone color. And then there's a little area under their chin. Hi, Christina. Where it's their neck, and then the shirt starts right here. So we're going to need to put a little bit in there as well. So I'm going to need some of that shadow color in there. Then along the hands. I'm going to kind of build in a little bit of finger shadows on this hand since it's supposed to be hidden back there and you can't see it. I'm just going to add a little to it to give it some, you know, design and such. E11 is going to be our next color. And we're going to start building that in with a bit more of this because he kind of has like a bit of a big forehead, this little guy right here. So he's going to need a bit more of this color in there. And I might want to come back in with that dark color for a little bit more shadow here in a minute. So I kind of want him to be just a little bit darker than what I'm getting out of it right now. So that's a personal preference for sure. It definitely works with these colors, but I just want a little bit more shadow. So maybe at the end we'll come back in and add a bit of that shadow instead of doing it right now. Or maybe we could just do it right now. That way we can blend out with our E11 while we have it out. And I decided to add a little bit more of this and go a little bit thicker with it. Now his hair is going to be brown, so if I get some of this in his hair by mistake, I'm not really going to worry about that. Because I'm going to be able to work out... Sometimes these caps don't fit on both sides of your marker. Hi, Beth. So we're ghost busting tonight. You guys might have been able to tell that by the little comment on the video. I try to give you a little hint in case it's something you don't want to miss. That if you see it and you're tired or unavailable, you'll know to go back for sure and catch it. Plus, I think it's just fun that way. You get to guess what you think is coming up. And I think that's kind of fun. So, All right, E01 is the next color that I'm going to use. Now, on camera, it looks a little bit on the pink side, this part so far, but it's really not. I'm not really sure. Maybe I have a little bit more lighting in here than I normally do, so it looks that way. I don't know. But it's not, I promise. It's more of a skin tone, less of a pink. But it will look a little bit even more pink with this E01. The E01 is called Pink Flamingo, so it has a bit of a pink tone to it. But you know how that goes. When you haven't done the entire image yet, you can't really tell exactly how light or dark your skin tone will be until you're done, because the clothes and stuff will change the look of your character. So we're just adding a bit more. I'm gonna work this transition area right here just to make sure I can't see those lines. I don't really want to be able to see those shadow lines right up there. So I'm gonna work that maybe once or twice just to make sure that you can't really see that anymore. And his eyebrows will be, of course, brown like his hair. So I'm just going to leave that out for now. His eyebrows are going to look funny, and he looks like he has no eyes. And yeah, we'll get him all fixed up here in just a little bit. Okay, so our last color is going to be the E00. And most combinations, I do have that E00 in them at some point. I'm going to go over this once real quick just to soften those again, but not with very heavy pressure because I don't want to lighten that color up there. I just want to blend this in with it. So I'm going to be kind of careful going around his eyes because some of the eye part is going to need to be white, like the whites of his eyes. So I don't want to get any of this color in the eyes. So I have to be a little careful when I go around them. So you'll want to keep that in mind when you do it as well. Now finish up the ears, the neck, the hands, and you can't see his legs or shoes or anything like that. So now I can see a line right here from the different colors, so I'm just going to soften that line again and make sure that that smooths out. I'm really liking how it looks up here, so I'm just going to soften that one more spot, and then I think I'm really liking that. I do want to go back in on that hand that you can't see the fingers very well with E11. And I'm just going to put a few little marks in here so it looks like, you know, you just can't see his fingers, but they're there. I want you to be able to see a little of something. That wasn't quite dark enough, so I think I'm going to go in with E13. I want to do it extremely small and very thin, so I'm just going to use the really tip of the marker. I just feel like it needed a little bit more than what we could see. E11, I'm going to soften that up just a tad. So this is with a really light pressure because I don't want to put too much color in there. But while I have E11 out, I do want to darken under here because this is under his chin and should be darker than the rest of them. Okay, so now his skin is done, and we're going to do the other guys in the same skin tone. So I'm going to go ahead and do them while I have this out. Not all of them, not him, but the other two guys. So we'll do them together at the same time since we have all the colors right here. Hi, Sarah. I'm going to just put this base coat on all these, on these two remaining guys that we have, because we're trying to color these, all of these guys together tonight. Because you can't really have the Ghostbusters without having all of them. I mean, you know, you need them all. And we need to tell Sandra that we need a set with the girl Ghostbusters too. because we have the boys, but we don't have the girls from the Girl Ghostbuster movie. So inside his glasses, we'll also have skin tone color in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in this lightest color right now. Now, we won't do a lot of more colors. We'll do a teeny bit of shadowing in the glasses, but the rest will stay this very light color. It kind of allows for some reflection for him. Hey, hey! Super glad you guys joined me tonight. All right, and I like to do the inside of his mouth the same as his skin tone, but usually way darker. So we use the darkest color inside his mouth. And there's his hand. And then we need this guy, and he doesn't have his mouth open, and he looks angry. He looks angry or disappointed. I'm not really sure. So we're going to just color his skin in as well. Kind of wetting the paper, getting that base coat going. You want to try to keep the whole thing colored in while it's wet so it stays the same shade. We don't want to get anything in the eyes, so we're going to go around those. So we have to make our own eyes for this guy. And I'm going to show you a very simple way to do the eyes where it'll still look really good. But it will be very simple. The neck and the hands are what we have left. There we go. All right. So next we're going to go to our shadow color, which we did was E13, same as the first guy that we colored, this guy over here. We're going to go with E13. We're going to start building in our shadow. Now, if you remember, I had to go in for a second coat with this after we did E11, so we will probably do that very same thing. I need a new nib for this marker, but I don't have any. I only have one left, and I need to save it for emergencies, so I'm going to have to order some more. Because it's not a behaving little nib going on right now. He's got a little bit of misbehaving. This guy's hair is pretty cool. I like coloring this guy's hair. I can't wait. All right, so for him, when we're doing him, we have to stay conscious of the fact that the glasses are sitting on his face and probably going to shadow a little bit. So I'm going to put just a teeny bit in here up where his nose would be. And I'm going to stay on the same side of the glasses on that side and this side. And then, of course, we're going to do inside his mouth because I like that to be the darkest shade. And the inside the ears. Looking good. And we have to do a bit on the neck. And then the shadow areas of the hands. There we go. That's pretty good for right now. Now the opposite of this would actually be this corner. And since we normally have to do more than one coat of this color, we'll only do one in the glasses. And we'll do two on the top of the hair. So we're going to do this one as well. Kind of that same follow the hairline. I'm going to make it thinner around here, but I may end up changing my mind on that. Oops, I got a hair on the desk. I would think if this is coming down further, it should be darker here. So let's make that a little bit bigger instead of smaller. Now that I'm thinking about it. Along here, we're going to do inside the ears, just like we did with the other ones. And I'm going to put just a little bit on his nose. Gonna do under his chin. and then his little hands, just like we did the other guy. Now we're going to hold this marker. Hey, Dee Ann, how are you? We're going to hold this marker handy because we're going to need to go back in with this color. I think the problem with this marker is how dirty it is. Look how dirty it is. We'll just leave that sitting over there for a minute, and I will clean that after the live. E11 is next. I think I'll put them over there. So this is when we blend these two colors together, but they're so close that sometimes they wash out that shadow area, which is what problem we had with the last one that we did. So we will go back in and deepen that shadow as soon as we get this color in there. So I am going to extend this a little bit and here a little bit, but I'm not going to do inside here. I want to keep that lighter. I always try to keep what's under the glasses lighter than the rest because there would be reflection in that. And I feel like it shows it better if it's a lighter color. Okay, so to keep him going, we're going to go back to our E13 and put in some more of this dark color so that we can get this shadow area going pretty good. I'm not going to redo the shadow on his face, but I am going to do inside his mouth one more time. It'll deepen up that color a bit. And then I'm going to come back in with that E11 and soften this up. I'm also going to extend it out just a little bit more because these are fairly big heads for little bitty guys. I don't think they're too big for the image, but there's a little bit more space. Okay, we have to soften this line. While we want it to look like shadow, we don't want big lines in there that we can see. I'm going to deepen the one that comes down the side just a little bit. And then we're going to move on to this guy right here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with the E11 against that E13. And when we soften it up too much, then we'll come back in with E13 and darken it up just a little bit more. We'll keep this shape of his hair a little bit on his face for now, but we'll kind of wash that all into being the same here in a few minutes. There we go. Now we're going to go back to our E13 and we're just going to deepen his shadows a little bit more. So we're going to come back in with the same color and just where it's up close to the hairline. I'm not going to do it very wide, just a small area there. And I think that's good. We won't need that color again because our other guy, he's going to have a dark brown skin tone. So I'm just going to soften this up. And it helps if when I soften it up, because I added a second layer, that I extend it out at this point. So that's when we're going to start building that in. I mean, again, these guys have big foreheads with their receding hairlines. Big foreheads and receding hairlines. What can I say? Go over this one more time. There we go. Soften these sides up a bit. Just going to go over that one more time to keep it dark as well. Now it's time to move on to that E01. And I know that's not the norm, but when it dries, look at how nice that skin tone is. And it's always a personal preference. Whatever your favorite skin tone is always perfectly fine. You can choose what works best for you. I wanted to change it up from what I normally do, so I added E01 versus E21 to give me a little bit of a different look. I want this color to go all the way down to his glasses. I'm going to do his ear and down his face all the way around because we only have one more color. Now sometimes I would put like a cheek color, but I'm not going to do that tonight with these guys. I mean, they are chasing ghosts and they're probably a little bit in the scared side, so I'm going to soften this shadow I put inside there with this E01. Extend it around his glasses a little bit. And then soften his hands. Basically, I want to try to get that color real smooth and pretty. I can tell right there. So I cast this video to my television set, so I can look up to see your comments on my TV screen, and I can also see the coloring. So sometimes I can see a little better perspective of what you see versus what I see, and that's why I sometimes make a few adjustments after I feel like it's okay. I look up in the camera and it just looks different on camera, so I have to adjust for that. And I don't mind, but I just wanted to let you know that that's what I was doing. If you notice that, oh, she changed her mind. I changed my mind because what I can see on the TV looks different than what it looks like in real life. And I don't want it to be too challenging for you guys to see it and not know what I'm doing. So I'm going to work on that nose a little bit since it is right there in the middle of his face. I'll come down a little bit from here. And I do want to do up under his eyebrows. I don't really like leaving like a really light area under the eyebrows when it's a dude. I feel like that's just too much, if you will. So I'm going to soften this one more time. Just make sure it looks really good on camera. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Now we have E00 is our last color, and that's where we're going to start blending the rest of everything in. So around his mouth, nose area, cheeks. I'm going to put a little bit up here just because this color is less pink than the last color. So I'm just putting that coat over top just to bring all those colors together. Gonna be really cute. I'm gonna work just a teeny bit around this area that we have that's a little bit of a shadow. And then I want to add a little bit back in for these shadow areas around the glasses as well. So his is a little different because he has glasses. I promise when I'm done, these are not going to look like little scared men because they have no eyes. We're going to make them eyes. This is light change in that color back to more of a neutral from a pink. So that's why I went over that stuff at the top with this last color. And I want to make sure I don't go over the eyes because as we said with the first couple that we colored, that we are going to have to build them eyes, and I'm going to show you that and an easy way to do that very soon if you can stick around. And so we don't want any white, and we don't want any color in the white areas of his eyes. So there we go. We gotta just go over his hands real quick. And we should probably do this one too. Now, I know their outfits are already done on these three, so you guys popping in are going to be like, what? Did I miss all that? No, I did them ahead of time because I didn't think that you wanted to watch me repeat the same exact outfit 3 more times after I did the first one, so I just went ahead and took care of it. Okay, but we are going to talk about how I did it, and we're going to do it on this one. E000, that's the one we do the base coat with, and I'm just going to go around inside the eyes one more time, softening those colors and just deepening the under his glasses just a little bit more with the second coat of E000. And I think that'll make his glasses look really good. It's lighter, but not too light. Okay, so now we have to do some eyes, right? We want to do eyes next. I think we should do eyes. So I'm going to use the colors that I use in their outfits to do their eyes. And we're going to need a multi-liner because we're going to need to build in the little black area in the eyes. So I'm going to use 0.25 so that it's a tiny nib. And I'm going to go ahead and build in the black area of their eyes. So I'm going to put it at the bottom. And you just want to keep them about the same size. Each circle about the same size on both sides. So I would start smaller if you're not used to doing this. And then that way, if one is bigger than the other, you can adjust them at that point. I do suggest using a multi-liner and not a Copic marker for doing this because it will blend out if you use the Copic marker. But if you use the Copic multi-liner, it usually holds pretty firm that black circle on the eyes. We may have to go over it again if the other markers, you know, lighten it up at all. But now look, they already look better with their eyes like that. So some of them are going to have brownish eyes and some of them are going to have green eyes because I feel like that matches everything. So I'm going to use E23 and YG93. And I'm not going to put a whole lot of color in these. I'm just going to put this little bit of color around where I put the pupil. And then there we go. It's super simple. So I want to give this guy brown eyes as well. And then this guy, no, let's give him brown eyes. These two will have green eyes. So let's put a little bit of brown in this guy's eyes before we do his skin. There we go. So now we have his done. When we put the whites in the eyes, it'll look really good. YG93 has a little bit more of a greenish look to it, so we're going to use that one on this guy. It's pretty light. And then we're going to do this one. So don't be afraid if you get a stamp set and they have blank eyes because they're pretty easy to add them in yourself. No problem at all. Just checking in before bed, Meg. Thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. So we're going to start with well, let's do the skin tone on our other guy so we can have him ready to go. So for his skin tone, I decided to use E00 as my base foundation coat, just like we use E000 for the Caucasian. We're going to use E00 for this guy. And then we're going to use E25, E15, E23, E13, and E11. So we're going to pull these two colors that we used for the Caucasian guys, and we're going to use all these colors together, plus the base coat, to make this guy. To make this guy skin colored. 25, 23, 15, 13, and 11. And we'll do them in this order: 25, 23, 15, 13, 11. That is the order we're going to do it in. All right. E00 is going to be our base coat. I don't know who all's here, still here right now, Meg. Hopefully they'll chit-chat at you. They're usually pretty quiet, especially tonight. It doesn't look like this guy's going to have dark skin tone, but I promise he will. It's just, I like to get, when you're using browns for African American or darker skin tones, when you're using browns, sometimes they're just lacking that little bit of flesh color to them. And so I like to add this underneath because it keeps it looking more like a human. You're here. See, watching, listening, and working. Awesome. Yeah, sometimes you guys are quiet, sometimes talkative. But I can see you're here. Or I just hope you're here and talk to myself. I'm okay with that too. I guess they say as long as you don't answer yourself, you're good. All right, we're going to do his neck and his hands as well. They're all holding their guns. Okay. Hey, Christina Rudder, how are you? Hey, Mom, I guess you made it home safe. Yay. All right, so now we're going to start with the darkest color for his shadow area. Hi, Donnell. Oh, you're in bed? You're just watching from bed? Good job. E25 is going to be our shadow color. So see, I told you his skin tone was going to be darker. Not super dark, but definitely darker. We could always make it darker if we want, but you want to try to stay a little bit lighter before you go really dark, because you can't change it. You know, once it is that way, it is. So you can't really change it up. So I like to go a little bit lighter, and then if I feel like it needs to be darker, I can adjust from there, rather than going really dark and then being like, eee, I really wanted that to be a little lighter. That makes it harder. So I'm going to do a second pass, just right, a thinner line right up close to the hairline. There we go. Now we're going to move on to, let me double check before we do this. I want to make sure that which one is darker, E15 or E23. I think it's 23. Yeah, it is 23. Okay. Wasn't sure, wanted to make sure. All right, E23 is the next color. So we're just going to bump up against the darkest color and extend out. And also deepen that shadow area. Extending it out. And then you know, we're going to do like the other one. We're going to add just a little bit of extra around here because they have bigger heads, foreheads, if you will. And go around the bottom just a little bit more, and the top of the ears. And then we got to do blending out a little bit from the hands. Also, the neck is hidden, so we want that to stay dark. This is his little stash right here, so I'm gonna do underneath the mustache because there would be a little bit more shadow under there. So I want that to be a little bit darker. I'm also gonna do a little bit around his nose, kind of like I did with the other guy, just to give a little bit of shadow to that. E15 is next. So he doesn't look like he's going to be all that brown, but he is. So here we go, adding in some more of this color. Now this one starts getting to a much better skin tone color. And since it changes the tone quite a bit, we're just going to make sure we make one pass over the darkest colors so that everything matches up nicely. This E15 goes in super smooth and really pretty. So make sure we get that. We are going to come back and do between his eyebrows and a little bit more. This is our third color, so we only have 2 more colors, and we want to make sure we have covered enough space. There we go. Have a little piece of paper laying there. I let this top area dry too much before I came back in there, so that's why you can see such a big difference between what I just did and what was already there. So we just need to wet this area one more time so that it all smooths out really nicely. And I want to make sure we get it a little bit darker up underneath those eyebrows. His hair is going to be black, so it's okay if I go in the eyebrow a little bit because the eyebrows will be darker than what I'm coloring right now. So I would say when you're mixing all of these types of colors together, you want to make sure you work a little bit faster than I am right now so that it doesn't dry in between your stages of coloring. So this is E13. We have E11 next. It's the last one, so we want to start getting a lot of this colored in with E13. And doesn't it feel a little crazy that we use the E13 and E11 on the other skin tones and it looks so different than this one? It's all about the mixing of the colors. I'm going to come in here and go over this area one more time. Now we're going to start softening this up, moving down to his nose, and then we'll leave a little space for those that last color to blend with. Going down his hands, leaving small area on the little tips of his fingers. And now we're going to use E11 to finish it up. We are not going to go back to E00, just like we don't go back to E000 when we're working on the other skin tones. This one I'm going to blend it all together. Make sure I put some of this E11 around the edges. E11 might be a little bit too light, so we may have to tip to tip. Sometimes you don't know that until you get in there and start coloring, but we are definitely going to have to soften those areas, those transition areas. And we may need that other color to deepen this up just a little bit. Pretty sure we do, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. This is E13. This is E11. And we're going you always pick up the color from the darker one on the lighter one. Don't do it the other way around. Always this way. It can be just enough to bridge that gap. I don't have to put a whole lot of it, just enough to bridge that gap. Got a little bit on his mustache. Again, it's going to be black, so it's not really going to make a difference. So I'm not really all that worried about that. In real life, these areas right here look like you can still see the transition spot, so I'm working them a little bit more. It looks like on camera they look really good, but since I'm going to use this as a card that I want to keep, I want to make sure that it works really well. Okay, we got to close up the gap on these little fingers. On camera, it also looks a little bit more pink than what it really does. It's really more brown. I'll hold it up close in a minute and hopefully you'll be able to see that. So right now I'm just cleaning off any of that E13 that I have on the tip of my E11 so it doesn't affect anything else I color. So let's see, if I hold these up, you can see that it's a much more brown color than the tan color that we kind of got out of that. So there we go. We have our skin tone done. It's going to look so much better when we get the hair. So let's go ahead and work on some of that. We will start with this guy and just work our way across. So this guy's hair is going to be E29. Let me see if I thought I pulled the E29 out already. I did. His is going to be E29, E27, and E25. Do I have 25? Yes. And then hair and eyebrows. Okay, so I'm also going to use a little bit of W8 on here. So it's going to give a little bit of a darker shadow to it. They look great. You like them? I like them too. Okay, so I'm going to start a little bit with this W8. It's really dark and I don't generally do that with brown hair, but we're going to do it anyway because I want to put a bit of depth around this face. So I'm really just building a little bit of a wall around this area right here. And then I'm going to put just a few little lines on here with this dark color. All right, now if I need to come back in, I will. I also want to put just a tad bit in these eyebrows of this W8, just so they'll kind of match up a bit. Now we're going to move on to E29. And when we color E29 in, we have to do it the way, you know, the direction that the hair is going. So for these ends over here, they're going in towards his head. And then coming from this area where I put the black, I want to go over the black and drag it out so that I'm mixing the E29 with the W8. Just like that. This area going towards that little topper on his head. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Coming in this way towards his head. And then you also want to do it going this way, picking up some of that black color as you go along, so that that black color gets mixed in just a little bit. All right, now we have this top part of his head, and I'm gonna make that hair go like this versus the way the rest of it went. His hair is a little bit on the strange, so we're gonna stay with the direction the artist put in there. So we're gonna start curving this down. So notice I'm trying to make my brush strokes go in a curved manner so that so that they look like they go in the direction of the hair. And then we're going to do the same thing going from the other direction, but curving them to match up with what we did at the top. I hope that all makes sense, and maybe watching me do it as I talk about it might be helpful. But there we go. Now I am going to put some of this. It seems like everybody's eyebrows are always darker than their hair is, or for girls anyway. So adding a little bit of this darkest color to his eyebrows. Ooh, I think I put that on the wrong end. You know how sometimes you put your cap on and it doesn't click? Then you know you got it on the wrong side. Okay, so E27 is next. There's only one more color, so we're going to leave the last color for highlight. So this one is going to get a little bit more and go around the outside with it. So just pushing those brush strokes back and forth so that they meet up. See, we've just left a very small area. We're going to do the same thing on this side, just building this from both directions. Just really trying to get that to come together. Now we're doing the other direction, leaving some white area for the highlight. And now it's going to really look like hair. See how that looks like hair? And now we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to be extending our brush strokes further. We're going to be trying to go mostly in between where we put the last brush strokes so that we're not blending out, we're just extending. And then we'll have enough space for our last color. I'm going to do the rest of his eyebrows, leaving a very small highlight for the last color. Now, see, isn't he starting to look so much better with hair? I mean, once you get that hair in there, it is awesome. All right, so I'm going to use an extremely light touch. I don't want to blend this out, so I'm just touching a teeny bit of color where the white is. Very, very light touch. Almost like nothing. Like barely touching the paper. We're going to do these back and forth in the direction that we did all the brush strokes. So we have hair that looks like this. His eyebrows, we're just going to go over them, this last color. There we go. I'm very happy with his hair. All right. Now, this guy has some wild hair. This guy, we are going to have to build him a little bit of a hairstyle. Okay, so we are going to use W10, W8, W6, and W5. So let me make sure I have all of those pulled out. W6, W8, W10 is the one I need. So we're going to start with W10. We made the right choice. Mom helped me pick what we were going to do tonight, you guys. So I'm really appreciative to that. Sometimes I just don't know. So with this guy, we actually want to build him in like some corn rolls, I guess is what they're called. I'm not really 100% sure, but I think. So don't judge me if we get done and that's not what they are. So we're going to go around the ear and around the face with this W10. He has a bit of a part over here. So we're going to leave this part area as like defined as a part in his hair. And then I also want this front area to have a little bit of shadow. There we go. And because the stamp is not as black as this W10 marker, I'm going to go over the line that we made with the ink just because I don't want it to look funny on the edges. And I know it's not going to match up with W10. So we're just going to go ahead and put that in there. We're also going to start like under his eyebrows, both sides. And then we're going to start with his mustache as well. So for the mustache, I'm going to do around this edge and along the bottom. And then around this edge and along the bottom. I want his teeth to be white. And I think that's supposed to be his little tongue in there, or lips, I guess. So we're going to make that the E11, which is the last highlight color that we used on his face. So I'm going to go in there and put that in, because I want to make sure I don't forget. Okay, W8 is where we're going to start doing some designing on the hair. So it's gonna be a little strange, so just bear with me. But what I want to do is I should start over here where this is. I want to start by putting these lines in there. So kind of keeping them about the same distance apart. They don't have to be perfect, just as long as they're close. As we go towards this side of the head, we want them to angle that way so that they'll go right around his head like this. We need these to go this way as well. So this is how many rows he's going to have in his hair. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to kind of curve the front areas a little bit. So instead of it being squared off, I want to kind of round off each area like that. It'll be a little hard to tell now what I'm doing as far as rounding it off, but you will be able to tell when you're doing it yourself. Just given the impression that we have a rounded area. You won't be able to see it as well right now, but you will as we get going. Okay. That is all we're going to do with that color. So our next color is going to be W6, and we're going to start building in those lines in between. Now you could just go all in one sweep, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to do each one. So we're just making lines in each one. Probably I should have done this with the darker color, I think, now that I'm doing it. But we'll see. If it's not dark enough, we'll come back with the other color and fix it. We can totally do that if we need to. Kind of like funny at first, but just bear with me. We'll get there. I think it's going to need to be the darker color. In fact, I'm sure, so we're going to go back with the W8. And we're going to build those lines in one more time. Just to deepen them up. You could do this with a multi-liner if that's easier for you. It's up to you. Normally you don't have to do that twice, but I chose the wrong color. I just felt like it needed to be darker. And sometimes that happens, so it's okay. I'm going to darken his eyebrows too while I have this out. I'm going to leave a little spot for a lighter color, but for now I want to start building that in. I'm I'm also going to do a little bit of lines on his eyebrows and his mustache, just to show that it's hair. There we go. Starting to work out nicely. Okay, now I'm going to go back. This is the W6, the one that I originally put the lines with that I didn't think was dark enough. And I'm going to soften up some of the edge around the back of his hair. And then around the front and up each row. So starting to fill in some of the white, but we'll finish it with the last color. Just want to get a little bit more of this in there. It's a little tedious to do this kind of hair, but the payoff is worth it. I'm not going to use the W8 on the, the W6 on the eyebrows or anything like that. We're just going to go straight to W5 because it will be significantly lighter. And what I'm going to do is just tap in those white areas, this W5. I don't want to blend that out. I want you to be able to see the lines. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the eyebrows. And the mustache. And now we have this guy with a really amazing hair. He needed just a little bit darker over there. And he is finished. He is finished. We still have to do his clothes, but he, all done. All right, so this guy with the crazy hair, his is going to be E29, 27, 25. So no W on this one. I'm just going to use 29, 27, 25, and that'll give him a lighter brown hair than what we're used to with this guy. But look at how much that W8 made an impact on that. Eyebrows are so important. I tell everyone all the time. Yes, they are. They are very important. E29 is the next one. Now, just like before, better late than never, Crafty Pete's beating my husband at cribbage. Oh, good job, Beth. So this one's hair is a little bit out of the norm. So what we're going to do is for this area right here, we're going to start building his shadow area along the edge, and then his hair is going to go this way, and then it's going to go this way. It's going to be crazy hair, and then this is going to go this way, which the artist is showing you with these brush strokes right here. Waxed and tinted. It makes me look younger. Oh, nice. I don't do that, but I do get them waxed, and I don't want to tint them purple. But that's what color my hair is. So this is going to go that way, and then these come around, and it's going to change direction. So it's kind of crazy. His hair is very crazy. So I'm going to go around the edge right here. This part right here is going to go into this area and come out. So you'll have to do this one in pieces because he has some wild and crazy hair. Coming down this side, these ones are going to go in towards his head. All the way down. And then away from his head. And because that's the light black that's stamped with the memento, I want it to be a little more brown. So I'm going to go ahead and use that over top of the edge. These pieces right here, I'm going to go over the black, and then we're going to start curling them in like this so that they'll meet up with this large piece of hair doing the curly curly. I don't know how to play cribbage, but that sounds like fun to me. So this part of his hair is going to curl around, and then this part is going to come down. It's like a separate section of hair, just like this one is a separate section of hair. And then this little guy in the front, we're going to keep that one coming this way. And then this way. So it's going to kind of come up and curve around. There we go. So we got that started. At least we know the basis for how it's going to go. Your husband taught you how to play cribbage? I don't know how to play, but I would love to know how to play. I want his eyebrows to stay a little bit darker, so we're going to go from the front and the back, and we'll blend out with the next color. There we go. So that was E29. Now we're going to go to E27. We're going to follow that same patterns that we were doing, but this time, instead of going over the lines, we're going to try to go in between where we put the last lines, the last brush stroke. So in between, in between, in between, in between. And then I'll start building that strands of hair look, which is what we're going for. Going this way, going that way. Going to start building that in really nicely. So some will be a little thicker, some will be a little thinner. Definitely a little lighter, so it blends very nicely. Come up from this direction, this direction. Go in here. Want that to be fairly smooth right there. Now this one, it's like different layers of hair. This dude should have girl hair. This will be so fun to do in different colors on a girl, wouldn't it? You could use more than brown. You could give her cool purple hair. It would be amazing. All right, this one coming from this direction, in between where we put the last brush strokes. Keeping those pretty fine lines. It's a little hard for me to do when I'm trying not to get in the view of you guys being able to see on film. So my brush strokes are a little wider than what I would normally want them to be. But you know how that goes. Just want that to be kind of around the outside, sort of filling that in. I want his eyebrows to stay a little bit darker, so I'm going to fill them in with this color. I have a question for you guys, though. Do you guys like this time? Is it better to be this time, or would you prefer it be even earlier or later? I don't think later because you guys fall asleep. This is E25, and I'm just going to do that normal thing I do, which is a brush stroke back and forth with an extremely light touch so I don't blend out those colors. Make sure your back and forth motion goes with the direction of the hair. This one's the same way. very light. It's way on the top of his head. So I want to make sure it stays lighter. Looks like I'm touching the paper a lot, but mostly I'm missing the paper. And so I have to go over it again because I'm trying to do a very gentle light touch. I'll go ahead and do this side while I'm at it, and then we'll come around and do the front one in just a moment. Now look at how amazing this hair looks. Now you could make hair smooth and with no details. It takes a little longer to detail it all out, but look at how amazing it looks. There we go. Isn't that awesome hair? These guys' hair is looking really good. Okay, so we have these three guys. One more, this guy. And then I will check the time and we'll see if we can do our Stay Puft guy tonight or if we're going to do him and Slimer and the card on Thursday. You are definitely one that falls asleep. It happens to the best of us. So we're going to make his hair even lighter. His hair is amazing. It looks awesome, doesn't it? I love it. I love how it came out. This time we're going to use E27, 25, and 23. You're usually in bed before 9, but I can always watch the replay. Okay, well, I was considering moving it up just because the people that were watching, like from California, just going to darken one little spot right there. They don't seem to be popping on anymore. And so I was thinking if you guys would prefer earlier time, maybe we could do that. Okay. So this guy, I want his hair to look like it's combed back like this. So it's going to go back, 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 back. Okay. So it's going to be the same theory as these guys, but his is all going to go backwards and not all crazy like this. So, but it's still going to have the hair strands in it, and it's still good. I mean, you'll see. Okay. So starting with E27, I go around the edge a little bit just to kind of start building in that area. I'm going to skip doing this part, and I'm going to go right into right here. And then we're going to start around the outside, the back side where this is black, and we're going to go over it with brown just to build in that brown type of color. So you can tell the difference between that side and that side once I put this brown over top of it, and I like it better. So that's just a personal preference. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I think it completes the picture. So, all right. Now with this guy's hair, I'll start here so you can really see what I'm doing. So for his, I'm going to do just very tiny brush strokes going back. Some short, some long. I probably need a couple more long ones over here. Then these ones will get pretty short, and they'll start curving around his head. So still going backwards, but going backwards from a different direction. So if that makes sense. I will consider changing the time, and I will let you guys know, but not the days. I still like the days. I feel like Wednesday is exhaustion hump day, and people like to relax for that. Friday is craft roulette, so I don't want to do it over craft roulette time. So, okay. Now, in addition, we're going to come in from the opposite direction and do our brush strokes as well, but we want them to be tinier. They're coming from the back of his head, so I want them to be smaller. I just want to start to build that wall and further apart. You want to try to stay in the direction of the ones that you already built in. There we go. So now he looks really funny. You can't wait to see the finished result. You got to head out. Okay, that's fine. You we're going to color a little bit more tonight, but if you jump on Thursday, you'll get to see the finishing of the coloring and the completed project. So definitely chime in on Thursday after you watch the replay, and you will be able to see it all. Thank you for joining us. E25 is the next color, so we're going to, this is why I knew I had to break it into 2 sessions, because hair, this is 4 different hairstyles, so hair in itself generally takes a little while to do, so 4 different hairstyles I knew was going to take us a while, especially since I'm teaching it to you as we go, and hopefully you'll learn something you didn't know already. So this is just trying to go in between where I put that color and extending it out. So you can still see the lower lines and the outside lines. So keeping up with that same style. So now what I'm doing is coming in from the back of the hair in the areas that are white and filling them in with a little bit longer strokes than we started out with. So as you can see, it's starting to really build in the back of that hair. Now I'm going to come through, and I'm just going to, because this is our second and almost final color, I'm going to come through and add just a little bit of a line right here with the second color. And we'll blend that out with the last color. Good night, Meg. Nice. We'll see you on Thursday. E23 is the last color. I forgot to do the eyebrows. Going back and forth. This time I am actually touching the whole project back and forth and back and forth with a little bit stronger touch because I want to fill in all that space with color. So this is probably like a 2 to 3 pressure. Back and forth and back and forth. Building that in. I usually turn the project so I can make sure I keep the hair going in the correct direction. Need just a little bit more down here. And a little bit more on that side. Now, his hair looks like it's all going in that pushback phase. Now, you can see all of the lines in it, but if you feel like you want more, you can always go back in, like with the second to the last color, and build a few more in there, and then go over it with the last color again. So depending on how dark you want it, you can always go back in and change it up. I was okay with it the way it was, but if you want to see it built in a little bit darker, you would just have to do one more pass and you could get more. You're struggling with skin tone, so I totally have to watch the replay. Yeah, we did 4 different skin tones, but you can also, Beth, if you want, we can do like a FaceTime and practice together if you need help. Like if you just need somebody to watch to tell you if there's anything additional you could do or anything that would help, I'd be more than happy to do that. So just let me know. Skin tones are kind of my favorite, so I love switching them up and changing them and all that good stuff. So I have done one-on-one training, Copic teaching a lot, and I'm Copic certified. So if you want help, let me know. E27, I'm going back in to do these eyebrows at the bottom with the darkest color. And then at the top of the eyebrows with the E25 to kind of lighten that a little bit. And then the final color was the E23 that we did for the hair, and we're going to blend out with that one. So just soften that up like that. Look at these guys. They are coming together. You're welcome anytime, Beth. So we're going to do this guy's outfit so you can see what I did with these three that are already done. And that way you can see how I did them. So I pulled out a few colors. YG95 and YG93 will be the greenish tones. E43, 42, and then E81 for the tan-ish color. And then W8, 6, and 5 I used for the gray and black areas. I did not use the 10 on that. Okay. So here we go with, I'm going to start with the outfit and then we're going to go to the weapon, to the, I don't remember what they called that in the movie, but I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is the whole outfit. So we're going to start with E43, and I want that to be along his collar, and then his shirt that's underneath the collar area, and then there's a strap right here, so we're going to do around the strap and the backpack. And then we're going to do this little area that's around his wrist. Like the cuff of his shirt is going to be tan. Up underneath the gun and his arm will be this color. A little bit over here as well. And then around, under the belt and around where his hand is, I go down and swoop for the bottom, and then around this side as well. These are really baggy pants on them, and then this center part right here. So that kind of gets me that basic color. It is Ghostbusters and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and we're going to do Slimer too. But we may not get to them tonight. We may just get the 4 guys, and then the Stay Puft and the Grimer might have to be next. I need to look at the time. I don't know what time it is. If somebody wants to tell me what time it is, I can tell you how many more I can do. Try to keep them a little short. We lost a few people, so probably just these 3 guys for tonight and the rest for Thursday, when we'll also make a card. I know these Ghostbusters. I love them. Okay, so we're extending, putting in a little more of this color in there, leaving a little bit of highlight areas for the last color. Not a whole lot of the last color, but just enough. I know. And this one's Bill Murray. This one was Bill Murray. 9:55. Okay, yeah, we're gonna stop after these 3 guys. And then on Thursday, we'll do Stay Puft, and we'll do the Grimer, and we'll build the card. I'll have the pieces cut. I don't know exactly what it's gonna look like, but I have a good idea right now. So I'll have it all cut up so we can color and piece together a super cool card. And the one card is going to have all these people on it. So it's going to be a pretty cool card. Okay, so there's his little outfit. Now, because if I had just used E41, I would have just colored that in with 42, but I wanted this ivory tone to be added to the color of this outfit. So E81 is next, and I'm going to go over the colors I already put in there and add to them with this E81. It's going to kind of tone down that taupe and almost make it a little bit grayish. Green, I don't know. It just needed that little bit of change of color, so that's why I chose this group. Thank you, Beth, for giving me the time. I'm trying to keep the lives down to a minimum time because it's so late and people get tired and then they miss it and I feel bad. So, our Stay Puft guy will be pretty easy to color, I think. Grammar might take a bit because we're going to give him dirty teeth and all the good stuff, but... All right, next we are almost done. We're just going to finish his outfit, put some white gel pen on, and we'll be good to go. Oh, and his glasses. We have to do his glasses. We cannot forget the glasses. Okay, so YG95 is the darker of the two green tones. And you'll notice that this is a deep olive, and then it'll turn into a lighter green. So it's two different colors that we're mixing together. So the straps right here, and then this panel on the shirt, and this panel. So there's a little panel on each arm that has that, and then this other strap, and there's the gun, and then his belt is the green color. And the shirt, I usually do in the lighter color, which is this YG93. So now what we're going to do is blend these two colors together. There'll be a light and a dark, but it turns it into more of a green, kind of sagey color, sort of. I like the combination together. And then his shirt, t-shirt underneath. So this outfit goes pretty quickly. That's why I was able to color it so much beforehand. Now for the gun and the backpack and the shoes, it's all gonna be these W8, W6, W5. So I'm gonna start off really quick with a W6 for the belt buckle. And I'm gonna put a little bit of the dark right up under the gun. And then I'm going to use the W5 to blend that out. I want that to be pretty light. All right, now we're gonna go to our W8 and we're gonna put in all the black areas that we're gonna need to be the darkest. So the backpack, or whatever they call that. I know they had words for all of this. I should watch it. I should watch this show before Thursday. I'm gonna make that little spot black because I made it black on all the other ones. And then this is part of the backpack behind him.
They're called proton packs.
Proton packs. See, I knew I'd be able to see. Dale knew the answer to that, you guys. Came all the way from the living room just to tell us that. Thank you. So I'm doing the backs of the shoes and the soles. And then where the gun is connected with this little tubing. And then the underside of this weird little contraption right there. The part that's under his hand and along the edge of the underside of this gun. This is the other hose that's connected to the proton pack. I sound professional now. I know what I'm talking about. And then I like to put just these little dots on either side to give a little bit of texture to that part of the gun. Now we're going to move on to our W6. And I'm going to finish off the backpack because it's on the back of him. It doesn't need to have the lightest color. And then same with this part down here. And then I'm going to extend out on these little tubings right here, leaving some space for the last color. I'm going to put this little area right here on the weapon in that color. Adding just a little bit here and there of this color. It's We only have one color left. Blend out the back end of that gun. And then we're going to do the rest of his shoe, leaving a very light highlight area for the lightest color. Same thing with this shoe. There we go. All right, on to W5. W5 is the last color. I'm going to use that just to do this little round area right there. And then the little wiring that goes around. Same thing on this side. And then all of this, including inside, where I put those darkest colors on the weapon. The proton shooter. What's this called?
Proton pack.
This is part of the proton pack, the gun thing. Oh.
Proton emitter.
Oh. And then the tops of the shoes. We're going to put the color in there first, and then we'll go back and kind of soften that up so we don't have any big lines there. And voila, we have our Ghostbuster suit. Yeah, I know. We're doing that right now. So I have, when we did our skin tone, we used E01. So I'm going to use E01 for his tongue because I forgot to do his tongue. And E01 has a little bit of pinky to it. So, and his this guy's glasses, we're going to use those W colors again. So we're going to use W8. Go along his glasses, and then we will be done. This is our last step. Remember when we were coloring this, we were putting our shadows here and a little bit along here. So I'm going to do that very same thing with these black colors so we can have a little bit of shine on the glasses. W6 is the next one. So now we're going to start blending with that color we already put on here, leaving a little teeny area for some highlight. So you have to work with the marker upright as much as you can to get that little bit of highlight to show up. So it's a task. If you can't do it, I would just wait and use the last color to blend it out. There we go. Now we're going to come in with our W6, finish those glasses off. These glasses are super cute. Now, if they were sunglasses, we'd put a gray right over top of the eyes, but they are not. They are not. All right, look at our little guys. Aren't they the cutest? I need to grab my white gel pen. We're going to finish them off with the white gel pen, and then we're going to continue this on part 2 on Thursday. So I'm going to put just, if I can get this pen. This pen is almost out of ink. Can you guys believe I've already used almost this whole pen of ink? Crazy. I don't know that I do that hardly ever. So for this guy, I'm also going to put a little bit of this right along here to show that there's glasses on his face. We got eyes. Look at how cute these eyes are. And then if you want to, you can always add just a little bit of white gel pen on there just to give a little bit more shine. So we're going to do it on their little shoes. On each one. Tops of their shoes. And then I want to put just a little bit on the guns. So I'm going to go along this just to give it a little bit more oomph. Little bit more design. Barely touching the paper so the white line is very, very small. But just enough to look really cool. So there we go. There are our 4 guys. I will cut them out when I'm not on camera so you guys don't have to watch that. And on Thursday we will come back. We will color these 2 on Thursday and create a card with them. So I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. I wish we could go all night, but these are our Ghostbusters. They are from the first set called Ghost Hunters, and they look like this. These are the Ghost Hunters. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Wrong way. There we go. So there they are, the 4 of them. Look, no designs on their faces or hair. This is what they look like when they're all fancied up. And then Thursday, we'll work on this set called Stay Puffed. I'll do these 2 guys. And we'll choose sentiments from these sets for our card, and we'll be good to go. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. You'd be amazed we didn't use a lot of colors. We only used this many. Usually we use a whole lot. Look, we only use this many markers to color all those guys. Good job. All right, I'm going to hold these up close one more time so you can see them before I close off the live. There we go. Want you to be able to see them up close. They're super adorable. I absolutely love them. I hope you enjoyed that. Love them too. And I hope you'll come back on Thursday, 8:30 Central, right here. See you then. Good night.